Anything, Dave. Your show. Take it away.
How you doing, everybody? Once again, it's a Wednesday. Free webinar, Ask Dave Fennoy Anything. Hello, Facebook friends. Hello, everybody. Go to webinar. And I want to talk a little bit today about the people we talk to. We're in a kind of a funny business, being voiceover artists. And it's very solitary now. I remember when I got in the business, you went over to your agents to audition, you talked to other people. Maybe if you were taking classes, you had people that you could talk to there and kind of judge yourself where you were by them. But nowadays, the world is very different. If you've got a Mac, a microphone, and a high-speed internet connection, you can sign up with a pay-to-play site or do your own searching. You may still have agents in various places, but it's a very solitary business now. We're home alone with scripts, microphone, recording, and the truth is you are not going to book nearly as many things as you audition for. And it can be a little troublesome when you have a dry spell. And we all have dry spells. I guarantee I've had dry spells from time to time where, am I doing this thing right? I thought I knew what I was doing. Well, in that, we have this very emotional state that can be fragile from time to time. Be careful who you talk to. Be careful who you ask questions of. Be careful who you get counsel from. And that even goes sometimes for the people who are teaching you. I have been in classes where I have seen teachers tell people that they really had it going on and they were going to have a great career. All they had to do was keep going. And they kept going and they kept going and they kept going. And I didn't hear it when they said it. And I wondered sometimes, was this a teacher that just wanted to keep this person coming back and spending money? I personally, I can't imagine myself telling somebody, you know what, this business isn't for you. Because I've run into too many people who didn't seem like they had a lot of talent. But they did. It just wasn't in this particular genre or another. By the same token, I want to be totally and perfectly honest with my students about, yes, I think you're competitive now. Sometimes we come in with talent, but we don't have a lot of skill, and they are different. It's one thing to have a great voice and an idea of how to communicate, some talent for that. It's something else, again, to develop the skills you need to work in any of the particular genres that make up voiceover. Back to be careful who you listen to. You got to take it with a grain of salt. Ultimately, you're going to have to be your own advisor. People may tell you, nah, you can't make it because your voice is too deep, or it's not deep enough, or it's too high, or, oh gosh, that's not the style they're doing anymore, or, well, there's just so many people in it, they're not taking anybody else. When I started my career, I had an advertising guy was calling people and trying to get interviews and find out what I needed to do, hopefully, get somebody on my side, help. And I had a guy, we've got all the people we need in voiceover. We don't need anybody else. Why do you want to do this? I could have listened to that guy. And then I'd probably be a college professor now doing something else. If this is your dream, and I'm a little wary of saying follow your dream, because sometimes something else is better. Sometimes we're childish with our dreams. But that said, if this is something you've got just a hankering to do, and it's what you want, do it. Do it, do it, do it. You will realize at some point that you've given yourself a exit date. When I was a musician, I had an exit date. I didn't know I had an exit date, but there came a time in my musician life when I realized, you know what, this isn't going the way I thought it was going to go. I'm not doing as well. I'm tired of knocking on these doors. I'm going to do something else. And I started knocking on the radio personality doors, and that worked. Same thing when I got to voiceover. Your mom loves you. She's going to love everything you do. If you don't have enough talent, even then, she might not be the person that you want to ask, except when you really need those warm, fuzzy hugs. Query a number of people if you are in doubt and feel like you need other opinions on whether you should do this or not do this. Query a number of people. The coaches you're working with, your fellow voiceover talent, your mom too. Even grab a stranger, somebody you don't know that well, and ask them. If you can find some other teachers other than the one you're working with, and ask them if they'll spend their time. But be careful. Be careful who you talk to. There are people out there that will steal your dream or pump it up for remuneration. That said, let's get to questions. Yeah, Tansy, that did sound. Grab a stranger. No, I'm not the president. No, if you grab them, don't grab them there.
Go ahead, you take them there.
Let's see. Do we have any questions on Facebook already? Let's see. Got a question here. Tom Resnick. Hey, Tom. Oh, it was my pleasure to meet you. It's C2E2 Chicago. Have you auditioned for any parts that required you to perform in motion capture capacity, either full body or facial performance? Absolutely. A lot more facial performance than motion capture, but I've done a fair amount of motion capture. And for those who don't know, facial performance is when there is a camera on your face as you are performing, and it is picking up your mouth movement, your eye movements, your facial movements, so that the character, once animated in the video game, has the movements of your face. Motion capture is the same thing except for the whole body. And motion capture, even when we're talking video games, I think is probably more like being on camera or shooting a movie because A, you memorize your lines. B, you will be working with other actors. C, there's blocking. So it's not the same thing as being in the studio, microphone, words. Now, what do I do with them? But they put you in this black suit, and it's got little dots all over it, these little stickers. They will put dots all over your face in the right places so that the cameras and the lights really get a good idea of where your face is when it's moving, what's moving and where, and it allows them to animate your face and your body and to be the character. And it's a lot of fun. When I do motion capture, they braid my hair and put it behind me. You'll have a cap on that has a microphone and camera that's sitting out about this far from you. That, you just have to pretend it's like there, just like you have to pretend any camera's not there when you're doing on-camera work. All right. And good question. Let's see. We got another one.
I got another one. I've got one here
okay.
If you want. The name isn't coming up. It's saying, I'm hearing that if you want the good video game gigs, you must have an agent and be union. Which comes first and why?
Well, it's a little different. There used to be agents wouldn't sign you unless you were already in the union or were Taft-Hartley, or they might help you get that. Nowadays, because the battle for unions is so strong and so much work has left the union, that agents are willing to bring on sometimes people who aren't in the union but who will join. Um, so, which would I do first? Well, first of all, I'm going to say you are correct. The question was you needed to be in LA. Not necessarily, but it helps. Most of the work, I see a lot of work that comes through and says you must be in LA. For a lot of video games, I've noticed over the last few years, things that were done either in San Francisco or a company up there started looking not only in Los Angeles, but other places. And the same thing is happening with other gaming companies. They are willing, if they haven't found the voice they're looking for, they are willing to look in Atlanta, look in Chicago, look in Dallas. There are a lot of other cities that are really good. I'm going to call them feeder cities right now. They've got great talent all their own, so I don't know why I do that. But okay, feeder city. But there's a lot of great talent in Dallas. There's a lot of great talent in Atlanta. There's a lot of great talent in San Francisco, in Seattle, and other places around the nation that actors who can play wonderful parts in video games. And more video game companies are reaching out to those people. But still, if you're living in Los Angeles, you got a leg up.
Sounds good. I got one more from Michael. Our buddy Michael Sessoms has a question.
Okay.
When you do motion capture, do you have to go back and ADR your lines, or do they capture it during the performance?
Oh, no, they capture it during the performance. You'll have a little, like a Go Cam out here, and probably they mic you different ways. Sometimes it's a microphone connected to the Go Cam, not the Go Cam microphone, but a microphone out here, or they'll have a little mic that's coming. What are the stage mics that might be sitting a little bit here? Really tiny little stage mics. Sometimes they'll have mics on the cap that you're wearing that's on the top of your head. So there's various ways that they mic you, but they get your sound at the same time they're getting your image. God, could you imagine trying to go back and do hour after hour after hour of ADR? Oh gosh, I've got to match my mouth flap.
Sounds painful. Take one there, Dave.
Okay, just want to say thank you, Dave, actually becoming an okay voice actor. Oh, and you helped inspire me. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate that. I've been wanting to do more classes, but afraid of joining a class, spending the money, and getting a teacher like you've described. But the money would have been spent. You know, there are a lot of really good teachers of voiceover in Los Angeles, and I dare say across the country. As this business has grown in terms of the talent and the people helping talent realize themselves. Just in town here, some of the people that I took classes with are still teaching, and people that were in this business and being agents and being casting directors and being talent when I came to town in 1990 are still here and are still teaching. And I'm going to tell you, those are the people that you see a lot in a lot of different places. If you notice who's going to Normandy, who's going to VO Atlanta, who's being presented and being a presenter at That's Voiceover and the Voice Arts Awards. You want to vet somebody that is trying to train you for your career. You do need to invest money, and in many ways you need to think of it like a technical school or a college degree. Or if you've gone to college, think of it like a master's or a PhD, and we'll let you use that PhD later, Fred. You have to take it serious. Just don't go willy-nilly. There are people out there that have been doing voiceover 3 or 4 years, maybe 5. They had a hot run, and now they're not booking as much as they should or could, and they're really doing it for the money. Now, don't get me wrong. You got to pay me good money for me to coach you. But the years I've been doing this and the years the other coaches I'm talking about have been doing this have made them worth it. What's that old saying? I've forgotten more than you'll ever know. It's funny sometimes, the questions that I'm asked, which is one of the reasons I do this, that seem so normal and just, oh, yeah, every day. Why? Oh, that's a question? But it's only because you've been doing it so long that you've kind of forgotten that that was a thing in your mind back in the day. So there are no stupid questions, but you do have to vet your voiceover teachers. Ask them for a list of people they've worked with that that you can get in touch with and find, well, how did you feel about this class? How did you feel about this coaching? I'm happy to do it. I have people really like when they're working with me. They learn a lot. They tell me so. They start booking. They tell me so. And for some of the teachers I'm talking about, same thing. Okay.
When you need them, I have questions.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. And the two of these are kind of related. So Melvin's and Ferris's are both related to, I'll read you both. So Melvin says, when recording a video game VO job, you always go into their studio. And Ferris's was wondering what percentage of your VO work is done at home versus going to gigs at various physical locations.
Well, I do a lot of work out, but I do a lot of work at home. I probably spend 75% of the time at home in total. But in terms of video games, I probably spend, 90% of the time in other people's studios. However, there are games, either they're smaller projects or they're outside the country. And because I have a very good studio, that they can call me and I can work from here to Norway or South Africa or Germany or France or something, or the Far East. But the majority of, especially the AAA games and AA games that I do, they want you in a studio here in town.
Okay, sounds good. Go ahead and take one there.
Okay. Wow, it's a long one. I have reached out to many of my heroes in the biz. Heath Martin, thank you. Great advice, and as a 30-year vet in the world of R&B, the welcoming nature of VO talent was a very nice change of pace. I've also received some fairly harsh advice from a legend that I won't name, but do you think that some of the hierarchy of talent is harsh with those that aspire to see how driven they truly are? I can imagine that there are people who've been in this business for a while and maybe their careers have fallen off a bit and they didn't change with the times. We're in a business that is so a part of whatever is now. And if you're not willing to, not only technologically, but in your read, update what you do, sooner or later you're going to fall by the wayside. So I can imagine that there are some people out there that have had wonderful careers and for whatever reason now they don't, but people still know who they are. And they might feel a little intimidated, jealous, a reminder that they're not working when you're there asking them questions and whatnot. That could be it. And I can imagine that. I personally am really proud and humbled. What's that?
You personally just love to see other people you like get work.
Well, yeah. When I see other people do well, it makes me feel good. So I don't have a problem with that. There are a lot of young voice talent out there that is coming along that I'm happy for them. But I also have a belief it's not a zero-sum game. I'm going to get mine. You can't be Dave Fennoy. You can be you. And that's one of the beautiful things about this business. I do agree with what you said early on, though. By and large, this is one of the most welcoming businesses and encouraging businesses you can be in. I'm constantly pleasantly surprised. Well, I guess I'm not even really surprised anymore how welcoming and open people in voiceover are. You want to know something? People will tell you. There are a lot of voiceover groups meetup groups, Facebook groups, and you can do well just getting information from those people. And I said, don't try to do this alone. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. There are a lot of people here who can help you. And not everything do you need to pay for. Not every piece of information do you need to pay for. That's why we have friends. That's why we share information. Even amongst us who've been doing it for a while, we share information with each other too.
This question is kind of related, and it's very it's appropriate. So Thomas, it says, this is Thomas Manchin. I've gotten 3 video game gigs from the demo you coached me on within 2 hours after getting it done and sent out. Do I get more coaching? Do I focus more on marketing to get more games?
Well, I'll repeat that again. He got 3 gigs.
He got 3 video game gigs from the demo you coached me on within 2 hours after getting it done and sent out.
Did you hear that, y'all? Did you hear that? Did you hear that, y'all? Did you hear that? Okay.
I believe they did hear that.
Yeah. No, I get great response. I get great response from my students. Not everybody starts at the same level. Not everybody gets it as quickly as some people get it. There are people that'll be a little further along as actors that they can pick it up quicker. But when I do a workshop, I will guarantee you, everybody that takes that class will be better when they leave than when they came in. They will have tools they can use that will make them a better actor now.
Absolutely. And that's a good chance for me to drop in the voiceoverphd.com is where you can get without having to spend money. There's a ton of, literally we have, I think it's close to 40 hours of material in there.
Wow.
voiceoverphd.com.
Cool. And you can buy that package and get me all the time. No, seriously, there's a lot of good stuff in there. There's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah, it's a good place. I think that people are just starting out, and if they don't have the time or the money to pay for one-on-one coaching, multiple sessions, that's a good place to start.
Yeah. And, I'm going to be honest, too. I have told a lot of students that have come for private coaching, listen, I've given you a lot of ideas. I've given you a lot of instruction on changing up how you're approaching this. Take some time before you come back. Work with these concepts for a little bit. Get them a little bit under your belt before you come back. It's the same reason I tell people, you're interested in jumping into voiceover, great. Go get all the free stuff you can first. Listen to me, listen to Bill DeWeese, Nancy Wolfson, and anybody else that's out there and has a good reputation as a teacher. We all have free videos. Learn. What happens is you will become acquainted with the jargon. Concepts will begin to make more sense. You won't have to have that second thought when you hear it, that thought that, oh, what does that mean? Gosh, does that make sense to me? And by that time you've gone through those 2 or 3 little thoughts, whoever was talking has gone on to something else and you missed something. You don't want to be sitting in a class trying to figure out what they're saying and missing what they're saying while you're trying to figure it out. So immerse yourself. Get as much information as you can. Get familiar with the jargon, familiar with the terms, familiar with what it's all about. Then start spending your money. I guarantee you, your money will go much further.
Take one there, Dick.
Okay. Thanks for creating this video training day. We didn't get this kind of help back in the day. Good to see you because I usually delight in hearing your voice. Oh, that's nice, Ricky. Thank you. Great talent in ATL. Yes, there is. Do you play any of the video games you work on? If so, what are your favorites? Oh, Jeffrey. Why did you ask me that, Jeffrey? The truth is, I'm not a gamer. I will do playthroughs. I will watch other people play the games, but I really suck at at playing video games, so I really don't. I'll tell you what I am. I'm an actor. I'm a voice actor. That's what I am. And I really love the opportunity to act in video games because it brings such a wide variety of styles of acting and kinds of characters and genres of entertainment that I can be a part of. I'm an actor.
But let's add that you can also kick some butt as a woodworker.
Well, that's my little hobby. I don't think I would make any money. Although I sold a ladder I made to ASAP Rocky for $300.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, there you go.
It's great.
All right. Okay, Josh Phillips. Okay. Besides that, thank you for all the help and inspire me to become a voice actor. I do have a question. What's the funniest thing that you've ever seen happen at a voice recording session? Oh boy. Probably the funniest things. I don't remember the thing itself, but a lot of times, especially if you're working on animation, some of those sessions are just wacky, and the things that get said, and the double entendres, and the inside jokes, and everybody that's working, I don't care how many cartoons and whatnot they've done, we all make mistakes. We all will run into that paragraph, that line, that word that we just can't get through. Those are the funniest things. And then, we can have some back and forth banter, teasing one another. That's probably, those are the funniest things that happen, and the feeling of camaraderie. And there's something about doing this work, and when you've got some credits under your belt and some people know who you are, it's instant camaraderie. I meet people who are voice actors that I know of their work, never had a chance to meet them, and, insta friends, because we know what we've had to go through. And once again, that is a part of what makes voiceover work so special, are the people in it. I have heard voice actors who are women say when they were doing on camera, they never got the kind of support from women on camera that they get from women in voiceover, because there's so much, oh, she looks better than me, oh, she's taller, oh, she's fatter, she's thinner, she's got bigger boobs, whatever. We guys do the same thing, but it's more subtle. So anyway, you got one?
No, go, you go.
Oh, my boy Jay Rodney Turner's watching. What's up? Internet coaching crosses long distances if you desire. Yeah, I have a lot more students that I coach privately via internet on YouTube. And I like the cameras on because I want to see you, because your body informs your voice. And if a read's not right, part of the reason may have to do with, your body position, your body language. If you're trying to be happy and you're like this, it's not going to sound happy no matter what you do. Your body needs to be in the same mood as what it is that you're doing. Marianne Fua. I must say, Dave, thanks, Dave. I moved away from VO but returned recently. A lot has changed in the 7 years I was gone. Yeah, 7 years is a long time these days. Occasionally I think, well, wow, what if I wanted to go back into radio? Well, I had my last radio job in 1992, working at Jazz FM. And I can't imagine what the learning curve would be now. I'm sure I could, talk to an audience and whatnot, but all the equipment has changed. How you do it all has changed, and that would be a whole nother learning experience. And that's very much what we have with voiceover now. If I had not been in this business for 30 years, or almost 30 years, and had been in it for a while and left and tried to come back, wow, oh, I need to have my own studio. I need this, I need that. You know, it's going to happen little by little, but stay in it. I know we keep our noses down to the grindstone doing what we need to do, but every now and then you got to look up and see what's happening and what's new, what's being called for. What are the people who are half a generation younger than you in terms of getting into the business? What are they doing? How are they doing it? Because the technology changes how we approach the business. Some things are the same. You got to promote yourself. You got to be good. You got to make yourself easy to find. But how you do that changes.
I got a question here that's related to something we talked about right before we went on. Ferris is asking this question. Thoughts on caffeine? Do you find it as detrimental as they say? Isn't there something to be said about that it lights a fire under your ass?
Listen, you can't talk about caffeine like that. That's America's favorite drug. How would America get up and go to work in the morning if they didn't have their caffeine? Caffeine is, well, it's as American as apple pie.
Nice. So yeah, Ferris, we were talking about it. Pete's for him and coffee bean for me.
There you go. You know, I have heard people say that, you know, you drink coffee and it does something to your voice and so forth and so on. I'm not a purist in my voice has to be perfect and clear and pure and everything has to be working just perfectly. Partially, I think, because of age, partially because of video games. My voice is damaged. It's not as round and beautiful as it once was. It's still pretty good. But I actually like that my voice has the texture that it has now. It's more real now than it was, say, 20 years ago. So what we're trying to play are real human beings. There was a time, I want that perfect DJ sound so I can sell product. But you don't believe that guy, do you? So it really doesn't matter what your voice sounds like. Deep, not so deep, high, quirky, sexy, goofy, whatever your voice sounds like, there is work for you. And don't try to play against type. And I'm going to contradict myself a little bit with that, but when you find out how the world responds to your voice, what they think and feel, it gives you the opportunity to really work that. Think of the number of actors who just hearing their voice puts you in a particular frame of mind. It gives you an idea of who they are. You get a picture of who they are. It might not really be who they are, but their voice says to you A, B, or C. And they have learned that that's how the world responds to them. So that's what they give you, and they work.
Take one there.
Okay. Hi, Dave. I've seen videos of a few established voice actors doing commercial and promo sessions with a client remotely. They mentioned that they were booked for an hour or 2 hours, etc. They did several scripts and a few tags. Are they paid a flat fee for the hour or for each tag, etc.? Typically, they, if you're doing promos, they book you for an hour or two, whatever they think they're going to need. But promos get paid by the piece. Now, there are some gigs that they're going to pay you by the hour. At video games, you got a 4-hour session, we're paying you X amount of dollars. But typically, promos are piecework. So you're going to make X amount per promo and X amount on top of each promo for tags, which is one of the reasons promo work is so doggone lucrative. If you're working for a network or a cable outfit, sometimes they have package deals. I've been under contract before where rather than pay you everything they would have paid you by piecemeal, they're going to give you a nice hefty weekly or monthly salary that covers all that. But most of the time you're talking, the session fee or not the piece fee for the promo and a tag or however many tags. And because, say you're working for an NBC and you've got, you're doing the nightly lineup, and so you're doing a 30 on the first show, and that 30 has 5 tags to it, tonight, tomorrow, next week, on an all new, well, those kinds of things. And not only did you have 30, but you had the 20 and the 15 and the 5 and some bumps. And then there's another show you're doing, and on and on and on. There was a time, I'm not sure that's still the case, that, you could be making a few $1 million a year as a promo announcer for television. A lot of these, a lot of times they've figured out ways not to pay us quite as much as they used to, but that's still a very lucrative gig.
Yep. Take another one there.
Hi, Dave. When's your next class? Well, in town here, we were just talking about this today. We're looking at July, 14th, 15th?
I think it's 14, 15. A Saturday or Sunday.
Saturday or Sunday.
We haven't yet booked it.
Haven't booked it, but that's what we're planning to do. It'll be voice acting for video games, a 2-day workshop. But Juki, you can go to my website and take privates. If you are out of town, I'll be, Saturday I'll be in San Francisco at Voice One. Then next weekend I'll be in Sausalito at Voice Track San Francisco. Later on this year I'll be in Las Vegas, Dallas, Seattle the first week of June, Dallas the second week of June. I'll be in London later on in the year, and going to Normandy and teaching as well.
Let's see here. I have a couple here for you. Thomas is saying, many of the radio people I knew in the 80s and the 90s smoked every break they could get. Personally, never really could stand it. Did you ever smoke in the early days? And I would add, do you smoke, I don't know.
Smoke, man? Smoke what? Dude, are you... I smoked briefly when I was about 10 years old. Used to steal cigarettes from my dad, and my buddies and I would go out in the park and smoke. Then my sister caught us, and she threatened to tell them, and I had to do dishes for her for about 6 months before I saw her kissing her boyfriend in the vestibule, and then I held that over her head for a while. Yeah. Brief for about a month when I first went off to college. I thought it would be cool to smoke, and I'm like, well, what the hell am I doing? I don't like this stuff. Cigarettes, no. But yeah, even when I got in the business here in Los Angeles in 1990, there were a number of guys still around that smoked cigarettes to damage their throats, to get away from too beautiful a sound, too round and beautiful and unbelievable. So they'd go, yeah, so I can get a little texture in that voice, yeah. And that's why a lot of guys did it. Of course, that whole cancer thing.
Let's see. If you need more, let me know.
Well, I got one right here. What do you suggest for home studio equipment? Marianne Efua. Well, got to have a computer because that's where your recording software is going to be. You got to have a microphone. You need a room and or booth to record in. If it's a booth or room, whatever it is, it's got to be treated so that you don't get sound bounce. After that, you may start looking at preamps and channel strips. But those are the basics. Computer, place to record, decent microphone. That's a start. You can start building other things from there.
Thomas says, by the way, nice new promo demo.
Oh, thank you. I redid. I'm so ashamed. I always tell my students, hey, listen, you really need to update your demos. You got to keep them updated every year. so forth. And then I realized, oh, it's been years since I've updated my demos. And it kind of sort of makes sense in my own defense. When you're working a lot, you don't really feel like you need to update your demos because you're working a lot. When you're just getting into the business, your demos are more important to you. That demo is what's going to get you an agent. That demo is going to get you some auditions that you might not have gotten. That demo will get you some work based on your performance in that demo. So it's got to be right. When I'm teaching, I play demos of voice actors who are very good and working, and their demos suck. Well, their demos can suck because they're working all the time. No, that's not what people are listening to hire them. When you're trying to get started, your demo needs to be great. So why do I update my demos since I'm working all the time? I want to stay relevant too. There are sometimes when you've been working for a while, we all can be pigeonholed into this, that, and the other. I'm fortunate. I haven't really had a whole lot of pigeonholing. But my demo was dated, and anybody who decided to listen to that to decide whether they were going to hire me would go, oh, well, this, that spot's from X number of years ago, and that's from... So I wanted to update it, make it fresh, make it new. A demo with the kinds of things I want to do now, and in the kinds of shows that are on now in the style that is current. And I've done a number. That was the first one that came out of the demo factory that I used, J. Michael Collins, and more to come in various genres.
I got one that you have to hear. So I'm sure this has never happened to you. I'll preface this question with this. Have you ever had an experience when recording a VO job at a studio and received direction from multiple sources, i.e. the director, the client, the creative director, that were contradictory?
Yes.
Of course, I'm sure this has never happened to you, Dave.
Oh, man. And I tell you where it happens most, on commercials. You'll be in a session, and you're behind the glass. It's just you in the room with the microphone and the stand and the copy. And then on the other side of the glass, you've got the engineer. You may have the writer. You may have a person from the company that you're advertising for, a person from the ad agency, or a couple people from the ad agency, and God knows who else. And of course, after you please all of them, there's one guy or gal out on the golf course that couldn't be bothered to come to the session. I have had that where everybody wants to put their 2 cents in. It's a perfectly fine read, but you ever notice when you do a read, the read overall itself is just fine, but there's one little niggly thing that's bothering you. Gee, I should have stretched that word. I should have cut this word. I needed a pause right there. You go through that when you're auditioning. We all do. We all, you want it to be perfect, and the read is just fine. You hit everything. You're in time. It feels good. But there was that one little thing. I could have done that better. Well, imagine you've got 5 people on the other side of the glass, all hearing your read and finding different little things that they want to hear just a little better.
So Melvin's question is, how do you diplomatically handle that?
You give them what they're asking for to the best of your ability, and hope that the engineer bails you out. I can't tell you how many times engineers have, hey, you guys need to go back and listen to take number 2, because I think, because you're on to take 10. And because I think I had a session yesterday, and I'm not saying this to brag, but they booked me for an hour and a half. 15 minutes in, they were done. They said, wow, well, this is the easiest session we've ever had. And nice. They had a couple people in the studio, and they had somebody else that was off-site via Skype. And they ended up, you did that so fast. Let's just let's just play a little bit. Let's add some things. Let's do some things. And 15, 20 minutes later, I was done. They were very happy, and I left. Sometimes they know when they've got it, and then it's just kind of, well, we were paying you for this amount of time. We had you for this long. Maybe we should just keep you more because we had you for that long. That happens sometimes.
Rumor has it that I think it was Donald Sutherland, when he does any VO work, he goes in there, and if they ask him for more than one or two reads, he just goes, "No, that you've got it. I did it right."
Well, yeah, that's Donald Sutherland, and he was probably right.
Probably right.
The late great Don LaFontaine. There's a story about him. And this, if you don't know, Don was the voice you heard on all the trailers in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. And that deep, raspy voice, great guy. He was the workingest SAG actor ever, voice actor ever. Knew he was at the top of his game, never lorded it over anybody. And if you went to dinner with him, you couldn't pick up the check. But Don went into a studio one time and he gave a take and produced, oh yeah, let's do another one, and blah, 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 blah. And they did that take and then another one, blah, 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 blah. 2 or 3 more takes. And she said, oh, now listen, Don, just do one the way you think it should be done. He pulls off the headphones as he's leaving and says, listen to take 1.
Nice.
So, he was just that good. He was just that good.
Yeah. So Thomas followed up with a question. What dated your demo? Why did you redo it? What was dated about it?
The things that were on it.
Got it.
It was from promos I'd done too long ago. My career's kind of gone in waves of different things. And there was a long time where, I was doing promos on ABC, CBS, the WB, CNN, a lot of different stations, some cable stations around the country. And for a long time, I always had a contract. I was one of the voices of the Disney Channel before they went all kids. SoapNet. I was the original voice of SoapNet. And somewhere along the line was more narration, more commercials, more cartoons and video games, and intermittent promos. I would never stop doing them, but I stopped being under contract to somebody. Oh, being under contract is a wonderful thing. And so I hadn't updated in a while, and a lot of the things that were on there were a little older. And I didn't want somebody to, gosh, yeah, Dave Fennoy, so let's listen to his demo. Oh, look, he's got that same old stuff on there, man. Oh, he's so old now. Hey, why didn't he update this stuff? Yeah, we're looking for a new sound, That's why, because I wanted a positive reaction, and I wanted to let people know I can still do what I do, and in a more modern arena.
If you need one here,
I got
check
it.
Facebook if you want.
Okay. Are there places here beginning talent might find low-paying work while they continue to work on their talent? Oh, boy, they're always willing to rob you. That's not what you meant by low-paying work. Everybody starts low. I had a job. I hadn't come to LA yet. I was doing promos for TV20, and it was. I also wasn't in the union yet. It was $25 an hour for all the promos you could do in an hour, and I could do a lot of promos in an hour. So I was really screwing myself. I did jobs. I was a voice of the. There was a company called Megaphone that did 976 stuff, phone stuff before the internet, and every week I did the results of the lottery. I was a voice of the Michael Jackson and Prince hotlines. I was a voice on a romance line for them. All that was, not making that much money, but it was getting me better. So, yeah, there are a lot of places, and even if you want to to just be able to read. Provide voices for the blind. You'll get a lot of experience. You're doing a great service. And yeah, knock on all the doors you can and find that cheap work until you're able to step on up. Rory.
Good doke. You got one here? You got one?
Oh, I'm looking. Oh, Andrew Kish. You know, I have so many friends, people I just love and admire in this business that I don't get to see often enough. Kish, you're one of them. Simply a master in his field and a talented one, best regards. Well, thank you, Your Highness. Let's see. I'm so ready to do this. Yeah, me too. Yeah. I'm really interested in finding the right avenue to use my voice. I think that's what you're saying. You know, with so many people writing so many texts and messages, you almost have to learn how to, well, they wrote this, but I think this is what they mean. It can be tough trying to figure out, now, what genre should I work in? I had a big head and thought, I can do it all. But not everybody's that. Once again, I've mentioned this before. Talk to your friends about what they feel like when they hear your voice. How would they describe you just on hearing your voice in regular conversation? Are you a funny guy? Are you a serious guy? Are you somebody that inspires confidence, leadership? Do people just laugh whenever you open your mouth? Whatever it is that people feel, there's work for you there. It might be audiobooks. It might be whatever, or a variety of things. But find out how people react to your voice and go in the directions that takes you.
And with that, there's a good follow-up, which is Melvin's asking, when you first started VO work, and some may not know this, which VO genres were you doing most?
Because I'd come out of radio, they suggested TV promo, which was just fine with me. But I kind of, even though I did a lot of that, I also did cartoons at the same time. I also did commercials at the same time. And then later on, narration got involved, and somewhere in the 90s, early to mid 90s, the first video games that were using voices, a lot of the Lucasfilm games. I was a pod racer in Lando Calrissian and a number of characters in some Lucasfilm games. So I kind of have always been doing it all. It was always interesting. The people who knew me for promos, I had no idea I did cartoons, had no idea this, that, and the other. And I look at some other buddies of mine, Townsend Coleman, who promo voiced for NBC for many years, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, and a lot of other cartoons. It happens. Okay. I've got one here. Dave, is there any real value in VO conferences? I think so. Your best tool for advancement are the people you know. They're your best resource. People talk about companies, okay, but it's the people at the company that you talk to and have relationships with. And when they move, sometimes your working relationship has to move where they went. So, there's real value in VO conferences because you're going to be elbow to elbow with your peers, people at the same level and above and below that are trying to get their careers together. You'll be introduced to a lot of different varieties of voiceover work. If one of the biggest areas of voiceover now, corporate narration and e-learning, or two of the biggest. Yeah, one, two, yeah. And the people who are doing that and know how to do it and how to find businesses and how to promote yourself in that business are there. It's work that's very lucrative. nobody's ever going to hear you on the radio or on television doing that work, but it pays and it's good. So yeah, I would go. Gives you an opportunity to rub elbows with people, to talk with somebody. Like when I go to one of those conferences, I don't just show up for the panel I'm on and the classes I'm given. I hang out because people want. That's why I'm there. That's why they're paying me to have access to somebody who's doing this, so you can ask questions, so you can get an idea that I guess I can do this. So yeah, I would say definitely go.
Okay, we got 5 minutes left here.
Okay, let me see if I got anything else here.
Cool.
Yeah, man, you just end up doing 3 times as many. Okay, yeah, Donovan, great. And then my buddy Donovan here, great talent. Working for a network, doing something else, and they don't even see what a wonderful talent they have there. Maybe they're beginning to see now. Are they, Donovan? You can let me know. Well, let's try some different things. While we have you on the line, let's try some different things. I'm not sure what that means. Don was the man. Oh, yeah, in a session. I've heard that. But my least favorite is still, just have fun with it. Don was the man. I heard stories about his generosity, driving other actors around. Sure, he did all of that. Man, I have a golden voice also, but I don't know how to get paid to use it. Any advice for my voice career? Which company should new talent work with? I'm going to address the golden voice thing because I get that a lot. People come up to me, I've got this friend who's got this great voice, or a person with the great voice. I've got this wonderful voice, and people have been telling me I should do voiceover all my life. Well, maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. Because really, it's not about the quality of your voice. It's about the quality of communication with your voice. If you're that person that's, I've got the headphones on and I sound so great. Ladies and gentlemen, buy this product because my voice sounds so good. No, you've got to connect with people here and here. You got to touch people's heads and hearts. If you can do that, you can have a career. If you're just listening to yourself and marveling at how wonderful your voice sounds, why bother?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, Big Kish. There you go. Who can you recommend for demo production in the North Bay? Where is the North Bay? Are you talking about the Bay Area? I don't know. PM me. Chuck Duran does great demos, or as he calls them, demos that rock. He does do great demos.
I got one from
okay.
And Bill does a lot of demos.
Bill does great demos. And Bill does very good demos. Very good demos.
Thomas, I think we should end with this because this one's classic. He says, romance equals your best Barry White voice.
Ooh, baby, when you look at me that way, I just go all fluttery inside.
Barry loves theme.
Yeah, the walrus of love, as we used to call him. May he rest in peace. Whole bunch of babies ought to be named Barry.
That's a good place to end it for this week, I think.
All right. Well, and you never know what you're going to get on Ask Dave Fennoy Anything. Some really, really good questions today. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
And I'll see you next Wednesday. All the best, everybody.
Thanks for being here.
See ya.
Talk to you. Bye.
Oh, you know what? Let's in that webinar. Let me see. Before I jump off of Facebook, looking for somebody in Northern California. EM me there, Cheryl. And right back at you, Marianne. And what's your big no-no in VO? my big no-no in VO is, not coming from the heart. Your read needs to come from the heart. Ah, my very first girlfriend, Patrice Cochran, is watching. Ah, hey. Wow, that was elementary school. Are you finding the landscape for games changing somewhat with the encroaching indie game scene? Or does it not even really blip on the radar in the LA market? No, it's definitely changing. And changing for the better. We're getting a wider variety of kinds of games. People are becoming very, very creative with the kinds of things they're coming up with. We've got games that are rom-coms. We've got every kind of game, just like we have every kind of movie now. So, no, I think it's a good thing. And this is a business that's not going to go away. Hey, Susan Bernard. Ha, ha, ha. Caught me live. And question, do you do all your own editing? Do you record without a lot of sweetening or just send your auditions raw or what? Anyone you really want to work with but haven't? Yeah, I do all my own editing. I don't really sweeten. I have, my settings, just a little bit of compression is about it. And that's what I send. Anyone you really want to work with but haven't yet. Everybody. Whoever I haven't worked with, that's who I'd like to work with yet. Rama, what's up, man? Wow. What's been your favorite recent role? I can't tell you because I signed a non-disclosure agreement. And I'm going to end it there. Facebook friends, love you. Thanks for checking it out. And see you next Wednesday. Here with Dave Fennoy for Ask Dave Anything. Dave, your show. Take it away. How you